All right, here we go. Why are many two-channel audio files against using DSP?
You went straight into it.
Yeah.
Hit it, man.
Have you guys noticed that though? Have you noticed that like a lot of the two-channel audio YouTube channals, at least, they show off the system, all this like super high-end stuff, and like really expensive everything, expensive DAC, expensive this, and then like it's like DSP actually is useful. It actually can make a huge difference. Mm-hmm. And even this kind of goes into another thing, which we can say for another time, but like even subs, right? Like you hardly ever see subs unless, rarely, right? Sounds like, what's up with that?
They like full range, huge, large tower speakers.
Yeah, what's Sean is showing us there.
All right. So
audio file cable.
Got a brand new subwoofer. Don't worry, the embargo lifts tomorrow, so my video will be out tomorrow. But it didn't come with an RCA. It came with this.
Ooh, speak on.
And this.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah, I know who does that.
Yeah, everybody knows who does that. Anyway, they got a new
subwoofer. Show it again. Let me see.
Only company
Close up.
does that.
Close up.
Definitely so different though.
All right. So speaking of not using DSP,
right? This company always doesn't use DSP because they want you to hook up your speakers, your subwoofer like this. There was no RCA in the packaging. It was this long ass speak on cable.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you mean long butt speak on cable?
You already screwed it up, Chana.
And a power cable. That's it. And so these three, you're supposed to tap these guys into your
amplifier,
your speaker.
right?
Yeah. Excuse me. It's what do they call it? High level input.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 3? I'm confused. I've never seen that. That's new to me.
I'm telling you, I watched the video and I'm like, that's
not
different.
It's not like positive, negative.
And maybe a ground.
I had to ask
or
them like,
positive,
where
negative, neutral.
Yep.
I mean that, like in car audio, that's accessory, ground, and constant power.
Yeah,
that's what. There you go.
So, it's definitely different.
Yeah, that is
okay.
Weird.
So to stay on the topic real quick, DSP, right? So you see these guys that are not into using DSP, digital signal processing. Why do you think that is?
Oh, it's their integrated amplifier they're using, right? That doesn't have DSP, and the delay in the DSP causing, I guess, issues, right?
What have you guys found?
They don't even use AVRs, do they? I mean, like the hardcore purist, man. That's just like a pre-pro. That's not even a pre-pro. I guess it's just a pre, right?
Integrated.
It's an integrate. Yeah, like I have that Michi integrated back here. It's I'd bring it over, but it's like 60 pounds. I'm not.
Yeah.
But there's no DSP in that at all. There's no room correction in that at all. I mean, funny thing, right? I had the Polk Audio. What is it? The Reserve. What you deserve. I had that all set up with the Marantz, and then I put in the Focals, and I forgot to like rerun Odyssey, and I'm like,
this sounds like
these don't sound that great. I'm like, what's going on? And then I plugged in the Michi, and directly into the Focals. I'm like, gosh, this sounds so much better. I'm like, I must have had something off, and then I was just like, oh right. So then I went back to the Marantz, turned off Odyssey, and I was like, okay, that sounds more like it. So yeah. So yeah, those integrated amplifiers don't have anything, but this thing has all kinds of IO. Like I was able to connect so many different things to it. Although Joe, no HDMI ARC. So
boo.
Yeah.
Boo. Two-channel audio files against DSP. Why is that? Any other opinions here before I go off?
And sometimes it's kind of the same thing with even like just basic treble, and bass controls. They won't mess with that either.
Yeah.
So I don't know, that it's definitely a purist mentality.
Right.
I'm not one of those guys. My thought is if, and that's where it comes down to preference. If, you want a little more bump in it, bump it up. If you want a little bit less treble in it, back it off, So
you want to fix the response in the room?
Yeah, I think DSP can fix some stuff that's whacked, in your room, because we all don't have perfect rooms.
No way.
And not everybody can put acoustic panels up in their setup, especially like in a living room environment. So, I mean, why they're so against it, I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe it's the culture.
I think it's just the purist standpoint. They don't want anything else in the signal path.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they want to hear directly from the source, straight through the speakers. Whether you think that's cool or not, I mean, I think, like you said, personal choice.
There's nothing wrong with that. But
yeah,
but the thing that's so weird about it to me, the thing I don't understand is like they'll buy some cables to change up the sound because it's brighter. So they're kind of using that to, oh yeah, and this amp is a little bit warmer. This amp is a little bit brighter. Okay, so you're actually using that to EQ. You're not saying this is more accurate. You're saying that you like that the sound using these components, right? Or this, whatever Dude, you add is changing the sound in a certain way.
The whole thing about this tube amp thing that Aaron, you were talking about with these clip speakers last week. Yeah. Man, I was about to do a rant video on that. Like, dude, if you need a tube amplifier to tone the highs of the speaker, how about you get a better speaker?
Yeah, I agree.
Do you really need to spend an extra $1,000 to $5,000 on a tube amplifier to get you 10 watts a channel so that you can tame the highs instead of just getting a speaker that you actually like?
Yep.
You know, I agree.
Reginald, I know. So Reginald's, he has Dirac, and he's like, we've talked, in the after show, and he's like, yeah, I don't see a difference, right? And so I'm talking to you, Reginald. I don't get why you wouldn't use DSP. I mean, for me, it's mostly in the bass, right? How are you going to tame that bass? Like, what are the chances that your bass is perfect in your listening position with those speakers, wherever they are, right? You can have everything perfect, but the chances of the bass being smooth and even across the entire frequency range, as far down as it can go, is, to me, seems like a very slim chance. I don't know.
Yeah, not if you got 4 walls. Not if you got more than one wall.
Yeah, unless you're outdoors, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So I guess that's really where I think it can be helpful. Just right there for the bass. And so here's the other thing I wanted to say is, to their defense, I always like to see both sides or think about it from both sides. And one is that a lot of times they aren't using subs. And so we know that using multiple speakers helps with room modes, right? Mm-hmm. And so because they're running both speakers full range, essentially, you kind of have 2 subs, right? So that might help in some ways because the bass is coming from both speakers instead of, just from one sub if you have one sub, right?
Right.
So to their defense, maybe that might be a reason why it's a little bit more acceptable. You have 2 speakers there that are helping.
The other thing could be it's easier. I mean, I sometimes I forget to think that. I mean, it's just, dude, it's plug and chug. You go, plug speakers in, you're done. You don't have to do anything else to it. You don't have to figure out DSP software. You don't have to worry about having your buddy come over to help you out.
Yeah, that's true.
One reason.
One and done. As long as you get your speakers like towed in properly, distance wise, you're pretty much. And if you, like my room is a complete and utter mess. But if you had like a normal rectangular room where you've got sidewalls and stuff like that, like integrated amplifier should work without any kind of DSP. I mean, it's just regular old acoustics. But if you want to add a subwoofer and stuff like that, then now you're getting into a territory where you might want the DSP.
Yeah. I mean, I see Snoots in here. We have discussions on a regular basis about DSP, so we're always talking about DSP and how great it is and what's the best way to get the best possible sound using DSP, different techniques, and it is technical. My next review is going to be on the mini DSP DDRC88A, and that thing is not simple, right? Yeah. Like, I'm okay with it because I used to work on computers, so the technical part is no problem for me.
Right.
But I can imagine most people are going to see all those features and be like, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah, man. Like I've been using DSP for a long time. And I remember when I got my mini DSP with the Direct Live for my car, like 2 or 3 years ago, I was like, what? Like all these multiple routing tabs. I was like, what is going on here? And then my buddy who runs a shop, same deal. He's installing DSPs for his lifetime. Right. And he was like, I need you to come over here and help me set this mini DSP up because I know you have one. So I went over there and I was like, okay, how did I do this? So yeah, I totally get it. That one is not intuitive, I guess is the right word. One thing kind of going into that though, and this is a question. So if we think DSP matters, Well, we know DSP matters, you know, at least to a certain degree. Should you always review your speakers with DSP in play to help clean things up, or should you never? You know, because personally, I don't. I used to, when I first started reviewing stuff, I used to do it both ways. But then it became so cumbersome. It took up so much time to do it both ways that I thought, I'm just gonna review them straight up. And the room is responsible for the bass, and I'm hoping I'm telling people what I hear is right. And then I have my other data to back other things up. But as far as the subjective stuff, you know, how do you approach that?
I've always done room correction.
Okay.
The way I do it is I run measurements and I listen with no correction whatsoever. And then later on, I might do some DSP correction to see how well it takes to it. Right? Okay. Does it sound decent with and without it? And usually you can already tell that by looking at off axis. You kind of have an idea if it's going to be good for that. Right. But yeah, it doesn't seem fair, because what if somebody doesn't use DSP? Right.
Right.
So I think you should review it as is, my opinion.
I mean, but anyway, I could see it going either way. And if I had unlimited time, I would always do it both ways, so I could provide some, you know, feedback based on both. I just don't have that unlimited time anymore. So unfortunately, I can't do both. But yeah, I was just kind of curious. It made me think about it as we were talking about it.
Yeah, I like your method of just measuring it as is and helping people understand that what it's doing off axis is going to determine whether it's going to be suitable for EQ. I think.
Yeah, that helps too. And I'm also talking like in the bass area too. You know, like if I were going to apply EQ, it would guarantee that it's going to be in the bass. You know, like if it's a good speaker, it shouldn't really need EQ above, you know, I don't know, 500, 600 hertz or something like that. But they're always going to need some EQ in the bass area, especially if it's one seat listening too. Then you can get away with it. If not, you know, you're trying to spread it out on multiple seats, then that one seat bass tune kind of changes things up a bit. But I don't think there's necessarily a right or a wrong way. It's just, which one do you guys do, you know?
Right. Yeah. Right. Somebody in the comments, I forget where it was, says, why do they only run 2-channel and no subwoofers? And like, when I listen to music, I'm kind of that way. Like, I want to hear the speakers. I got these big towers. Shouldn't they just be able to handle it? And if there's not enough bass, you know what I do? I go and I turn up the bass
knob.
Yeah. How dare you?
I know that scares the crap out of audiophiles. Like, oh my God, you turned down the treble and turned up the bass?
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that?